Good morning, students. Today, let us start and complete the third part of our lesson, The Best Christmas Present in the World. In the first part, we have seen that narrator uh, who has brought uh, roll top desk, which was the old one, little bird one, and there in the roll top desk, when he was repairing it, he had found a letter, a secret letter, kept in a secret drawer, in a secret box. And that letter was about an incident that happened on the battlefield when the World War First was going on between the German army and the British armies. A very wonderful thing it was, and that part, all the event is described in the second part, where these enemy troops, enemy armies, German army and the British army celebrated the Christmas on the battlefield itself while fighting the war. So that was the single day when they had seen each other like friends and celebrated Christmas together. Now coming to the third part, again we'll come to the Bridport, the city of Bridport, where um, the incidents, the further story takes place. Let us see it.
I folded the letter again and slipped it carefully back into its envelope. So, after reading the letter, the narrator has kept this letter back again into the envelope and very carefully he kept it back because it's an old letter and it would get torn. So, he had taken the care that it shouldn't be torn because being old, no, so the paper becomes weak and easily it is get torn with even a little stress. So carefully he kept it back into the envelope. I kept awake all night. By morning, I knew what I had to do. Now, students, what do you think that why he kept awake all the night? Actually, all the night, this letter could not make him sleep. He kept on thinking that such a great importance, such a great event. Nobody thinks that on the battlefield that the opposite soldiers, the enemy soldiers, they meet, they come together, they celebrate the Christmas in a very friendly manner, as if they were friends. So the place where they were there to kill one another, kill each other. So they were meeting and wishing and shaking the hands like friends. So that was a very, very wonderful thing uh, and a surprising thing. And that is why that letter was kept so secretly into the drawer. In a secret drawer, it was kept. And by the morning, when he finished his thought that he had taken the decision, and he said that I knew what I had to do. We'll come to know what he had to do or what he had done uh, when we'll finish the lesson, when we'll go further. I drove into Bridport, just a few miles away. What is there in the Bridport? This is the same place from where this the narrator has taken the roll top test. And the Bridport is also the address, if you remember, the address of Mrs. Jim MacPherson, who received this letter. Whose letter it was? This letter was written by Mr. Jim MacPherson, and it is received by Mrs. Jim MacPherson, and that is why he went to the Bridport to meet Mrs. Jim MacPherson or Mr. Jim MacPherson, whoever it is possible to go or to meet. So I drove into Bridport. It's just a few miles away. I asked a boy walking his dog where Copper Beaches was. House number 12, uh, Copper Beaches. So that was the proper specific address of Mrs. Jim MacPherson written on the later. So Copper Beaches. House number 12 turned out to be nothing but a burned out shell. The roof gaping, the windows boarded up. Now, when he went there to the house, to the address, to that particular house where Miss Jim Macpherson or Macpherson was living there, so that house was not actually well kept house. It was actually burned one. So it has the writer writes here turned out to be means it has become. Okay, it was not a house. It turned out means it became nothing but what, a burned out shell. A burned out shell is actually is said to any kind of burned house completely, or even the vehicles also. If the vehicles are completely burned, that burned structure, burned framework is called as shell. So burned out shell, anything, building a house, a vehicle, or a shop, anything which is completely burned and only the framework is left. So in such kind of condition, it is called as burned out shell. So the house of Mrs. Jim Macpherson is also a burned out shell here. And further, he described that the roof gaping, you could see here in the picture that roof gaping means when, because of the damage, because of the dilapidation condition, because of the fallen roof, there comes gap between the roofs. So it's a kind of open roof actually. So the roof gaping, the windows boarded up. Windows boarded up means the windows, generally the deserted house, no, the house where nobody lives and it is given up, it is left up, and when it is a damaged one. So this house of Mrs. Jim Macpherson was burned completely, and the windows were there. So the animals should not go inside, like dogs, street dogs. So these windows are packed with the wooden boards, wooden plates. So the boarded windows were there. The house, he is describing the house of Mrs. Jim Macpherson. So burned out shell, roof gaping, and the windows boarded up. I knocked at the house next door and asked if anyone knew the whereabouts Mrs. Macpherson. So, looking at the condition of the house of Mrs. Jim Macpherson, he thought that he would ask her neighbor. So he knocked one of the door just beside the house, and he asked there in the house that where was Mrs. Macpherson. Oh yes, said the old man in his slippers. So there was an old man there, and he says yes, he knew Mrs. Jim Macpherson. Uh, he said, a lovely old lady, he told me, a bit muddle headed, but at her age she was entitled to be, wasn't she? Isn't it? That the neighbor, the old man, he said that she was a lovely lady, but she was a little bit muddle headed. Muddle headed means confused. Generally, the people who are generally found in a confused state, so they were not able to understand. So such kind of state is called as muddle headed. So generally in the old age, the because the old people can't see, they doesn't have good sight, and they couldn't hear also properly, so their hearing capability is also impaired. So that is why neither they could see, neither they could hear. So that is why whatever said to them, they get confused what is said actually, they do not understand it. And whatever they see also, there also they get confused, that they mistook the person sometimes. So that is why she was nowadays headed. But the old man said that she was entitled to be. Entitled to be means it suits, because at this age this happens. It suits her because at this age, it is very natural for the old people to get confused because of their hearing and um, sight impairment. Let us go further. 101 years old. See how old she was. 101 years old. Such a old age. So she had been in the house when it caught fire. No one really knew how the fire had started, but it could well have been candles. The old man has also told him that when this house got fire, Mrs. Jim Macpherson was inside, and the neighbor guessed that it could have been candles. Because of the candles, this house could have been burnt. So, no, actually, reason nobody knows. No one really knew how the fire had started. But he thought that it was because of candles. So she used candles rather than electricity, because she always thought electricity was too expensive. The fireman had got her out just in time. She was in nursing home now. Told me Burlington House on Dorchester Road, on the other side of the town. So this was happened with Mrs. Jim Macpherson. So Mrs. Jim Macpherson was not there. Now she is there in a nursing home in Burlington House, which is on the Dorchester Road. So these are the different locations where our story sets. Earlier, we have seen in the Bridport. Again, come here, the narrator has come back to the Bridport. Uh, Now Dorchester, he may go to the Burlington House also, and the place is also there mentioned in the second part, where the battlefield, where exactly the Britishers and the Germans, they have celebrated the Christmas. So these are the places where our story set. This is very important. You should know where story is set, the place where story is plotted. So the neighbor, the old man, also told him that it was maybe because of candles. So here one more factor is there we should study, that is the phrase used could have been. Students, you might always listen that the teachers and your elders, or those who are good in English, or even your books also, could have been, should have been, will have been, would have been, might have been, ought to have been. So such kind of phrases are used. So these phrases are actually the phrases formed out of the model auxiliaries, helping verbs, model auxiliaries. And these model auxiliaries actually are used to express certain tones and moods of the speakers. Here, when the neighbor or old man, when he says that it would have been candles, so his tone of speaking is that he is not sure that what is the reason. Nobody knew is actually, but he guessed it. So he thought that it is possible the candle is the reason. Candle is the reason. So could have been the candles could have been the reasons. So a kind of guessing is there. So the mode and the tone of the speaker is of the possibility about something that had happened in the past. So when somebody is not sure but is guessing the possibility of something that is happened in the past, so such kind of phrase could have been, should be used in passive voice. Now there are other examples also, that in a different situation this could have been phrase be used. We can use this phrase in other situations also. Let us take an example, that hypothetical probability about something that had already happened in the past. The same one. He could have been then if he had traveled by train. So here is an, instead of car, he could have been alive. So a person died in an accident in the car. Suppose situation is there. So suppose in a car accident a person died, and somebody is telling about the hypothetical probability that he could have been alive then if he had been traveled by the train. So the probable thing that could have been at that time that had happened in the past. He died, he came in the car, and car accident happened and he died it. But now the possibility, present probability that he could have been alive if he had not traveled by car and had traveled by train. So could be used to even show the probability, hypothetic probability. Uh, so here, taken another example, the same way that our neighbor has used this could have been the phrase. He lost his memory. It could have been due to the accident. Suppose the person is alive still, but he lost his memory. So he lost his memory. It is past one, and actually this is because not at the time of the accident or after some times. Now recently he had lost his memory, but it could have been because of the accident only. So the possibility of the something that is happened in the past could have been. I hope you understood. There are other phrases also. Should have been also there, that is used for the suggestions, the obligatory suggestions. Then his mobile got discharged, for example, taken. Then his mobile got discharged. Computer should have been used instead for this. He said, active voice is the same sentence, but he should have used computer instead of mobiles. His mobile got discharged now. He should have used computers. So bin is not there. It is in the active voice. Whether it is bin that brings passive voice in the phrase. And when we are not using bin and we are simply using V3, past participle of the phrase, verb, then it is active voice. So one example is that he should have been used computers instead of mobile. So this is active voice. So this is obligatory suggestion. The speaker is giving suggestion, obligatory suggestion. He should have done like that. Okay. So let's go further. I found Burlington House Nursing Home easily enough. So our narrator had gone to Burlington House Nursing Home where Mrs. Jim McPherson was there, and he found it very easily. The new address was there for him. See what he describes later. There were paper chains up in the hallway, and lighted Christmas tree stood in the corner with lopsided angel on the top. So it was the Christmas time, actually, the Christmas day. Do you remember that on the Christmas Eve, our narrator was repairing the roll top desk, and then he got that secret later in that secret drawer, isn't it? It was one day before Christmas, and this is the next day, which is Christmas Day. So uh, on the day of Christmas, this Burlington Burlington House Nursing Home was decorated with the paper chains paper chains. You could see in the picture that the chains made up of decorative chains made up of the paper. So the hall was decorated by these paper chains, and there was also a Christmas tree, lighted Christmas tree there. So a lighted Christmas tree stood in the corner. The Christmas tree was there with lopsided angel on top. What is lopsided angel? It is a tradition in Christianity that on the Christmas day, on the Christmas Eve, angel, a doll, angel, it is considered to be an angel that is kept on the top of the tree. And the tree's top used to be very thin one, small one, and on that the angel is fixed, and because of that the tree becomes little bit imbalanced, or the doll could not be balanced on the very small place on the top of the Christmas tree. So that is lopsided, imbalanced one. Lopsided means imbalanced one, little bent over. So the Christmas tree was there with lopsided angel. I said I was a friend come to visit Mrs. Macpherson to bring her a Christmas present. And when he went there on the counter or to the person, he said that he came there to meet Mrs. Macpherson and he is her friend, and to present her uh, uh, a Christmas gift, to give her a Christmas present. He had come there on this Christmas day. He is informed the person there in nursing home. Let us see what happens. I could see through into the dining room where everyone was wearing a paper hat and singing. So when he went there in the room, everybody was wearing the paper hat, not the clothes hat or fabric hat. So it was a paper hat, a decorative paper hat, and they were singing. It's a tradition that on the Christmas day these people sings. Even at that in the later we have seen in the second part that they sing carol, they sing the Silent Night. So the different songs they sing on the Christmas day, and here too on this Christmas day also in the nursing home, all the people there in room in dining room they were singing. I could see through. This is one of the phrase you should note down. Could see through. See through. Sorry, see through into. See through into means when you understand something. You when you see and uh, listen something and understand it. So that is called see through. See through means get the understanding of something. सो आपल्याकडे म्हणतो ना आपण की मला असं समजलं की समथिंग 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 सो काय समजलं आपल्याला सो दॅट इज व्हॉट ही अंडरस्टूड दॅट इन दॅट दे वेअर वेअरिंग द पेपर हॅट अँड सिंगिंग सो द matron had see the next part the matron had a hat on too the matron was also having the hat matron who is looking after these people there in the dining room in the nursing home so the matron was also having the hat paper hat and she seemed happy enough to see me. So when the narrator came, so the matron becomes happy to see him. She even offered me a mince pie. A mince pie is a kind of a sweet dish, an edible item. You could see this kind of dish in your picture. So mince pie. Uh, she walked me along the corridor. Mrs. Macpherson is not with the others. She told me. She is rather confused today. So we thought it best if she had a good rest. She had no family, no visits. So I'm sure she will be only too pleased to see you. She took me into conservatory with wicker chairs and potted plants all around and left me. So that matron has taken the narrator into the conservatory room. Conservatory room is actually a room. Sorry. A conservatory room is actually a room of the glass roof, or even the walls are also the glass one. In generally western part, this room is called as the sun lounge. Sun lounge means where these potted plants, no, the plants that is kept in the pot, they are kept, the plants kept so that they could get the sun. So even in the passage, in the lounge of that room, suppose even the men come, so they could have the sun bath. So such sun lounge is called as conservatory room. And this conservatory room that the narrator had gone, there was a wicker chairs. There were wicker chairs. Wicker chairs means wicker is actually the strips, kind of bamboo strips or any kind of wood strips. And with that, the certain furnitures are made. You could see this in the pictures that with the strips, we make the chairs, we make the sofas, we make the different kind of items with wicker. Wicker is strips of the wooden strips. So with the wooden strips, the furniture is made. So wicker chairs were there. And before that, the matron also told that she is a little confused today, and that is why she was kept to have the rest there. Not she was not along with all others, and she also said that she had no family and no visitors also. So and you have come here now to visit her, and she will be very very happy to see you, she said. And she was very hospitable means hospitable is who entertain the guest in a very good way, who receives the guest in a very, when the guest comes in our house, what do? We give him water, we give him a tea, cup of tea or a coffee, or even we offer the meal to him, or even break, some kind of nashta we offer. So or we if he's staying for a day or two, so we give him a separate room, we give him a good bed one, everything. So we make his stay comfortable. So this kind of uh, dealing or treatment to the guest is called as hospitality. Hospitality. Okay. Nowadays, you could also do the career in hospitality. So some courses are there, even you can do MBA in that. So in hotel management, the hospitality is the main course that we have. Okay, let us come back to the chapter. So this narrator was this the matron. Sorry, the matron was also hospitable, very hospitable. She offered mince pie, the sweet dish on the Christmas day that is prepared. And now he is in conservatory room. Let us see whether Mrs. Macpherson was there or not, or if it is there, in what condition she is. The old lady was sitting in a wheelchair. Who is this old lady? This old lady is Mrs. Jim Macpherson. Her hands folded in her lap. So her hands were folded. She was sitting in the chair, wheelchair, and her hands were folded in her lap. She had silver white hair pinned into a wispy bun. So silver hair, white hairs, it has become because of her old age, and this was pinned into a bun. Bun. I hope you understand. In the picture, you could see this at the back side of his head. The hairs are rolled up and fixed on the top. So wispy, that is called as bun. You could see in this different picture also, that is bun one. And we have also ponytail. No, ponytail, generally we call it pony. When वेणी आपल्याकडे मराठीत वेणी असं म्हणतात. Ponytail actually is not pony. Pony is actually a horse, a small sized horse is called as pony. But uh, the girl's pony is different one. Girl's pony, actually there is ponytail. So here she has got our Mrs. Jim Macpherson had the ponytail, and sorry, not ponytail, bun, wispy bun, and she has pinned up. She was gazing out at the garden, and she was looking at the garden there. Happy Christmas, Connie. Sorry. Hello, I said. She turned and looked up at me vacantly. When the narrator said hello, she turned back and looked up at the narrator, and she looked vacantly. Vacantly means she was not actually blankly. Vacantly means blankly. She was not able to understand that who he was. So she was trying to understand who he was. So happy Christmas, Connie, I went on. But the narrator said, I wished her happy Christmas. I found this. I think it's yours. So as I was speaking, her eyes never left my face. I opened the tin box and gave it to her. That was the moment her eyes lit up with recognition, and her face uh, became suffused with a sudden glow of happiness. So she wished her happy Christmas, but still, Mrs. Jim Macpherson, whose name is now Connie, happy Christmas, Connie, he said. So her eyes, they never left the face of the author. The old people do like this, no? They keep looking the face of the person till they understand, till they recognize the person. So Mrs. Jim Macpherson, Connie was also trying to recognize the narrator who he was. And meanwhile, our narrator opened that tin box, oh, and give it to Connie, Mrs. Jim MacPherson. And when she saw that box and that letter, her eyes lit up. Eyes lit up means she becomes happy. She recognized, okay, what exactly it is and who the man is. So she kept that box, and her face has become suffused with sudden glow of happiness. She becomes very happy to see that box that she understand. She knew that it was her box, no? So she knew that what was there in the box. The letter was there. So I explained about the desk, about how I had found it, but I don't think she was listening. And the narrator goes on explaining that from where he had got that roll top desk, and how did he got that secret drawer, and he opened and read it, and he thought that he would come back and give it to the Connie. All this is what he had explained, but it seems that the narrator think that narrator thought that she was not listening at all, and it's true also. Later we'll come to know it's true also. She was not listening. She did not pay any attention to it. She was just looking at that box and looking at that letter. For a while means after means for some time for a while, she said nothing. Did not say, but stroked the letter tenderly with her fingertips. So she was, moving. Stroked means moved. She was moving her hand on the letter very tenderly, as if she was fondling and caring how much she missed that letter. So very caringly, lovingly, she was moving her hand on that letter. Suddenly, she reached out and took my hand. Her eyes filled with tears. Now, by this time, she came close to the narrator, and she took his hand in her hand. And at that time, her eyes were filled with tears. You told me you would come home by Christmas, dearest, she said. And here you are, the best Christmas present in the world. Come closer, Jim dear. Sit down. See, this is how the old people behave. When Mrs. Jim MacPherson came closer to the narrator and took her hand, when that box and that letter is brought to Mrs. Jim MacPherson, Mrs. Jim MacPherson got overwhelmed, overpossessed with her love towards her husband. She remembered, and she remembered when she recognized that later. She remembered that in that letter he promised that he would come very soon. He would come the next Christmas. So by the Christmas, and this was the Christmas day, and she guessed that now Jim MacPherson himself had come there and presenting that tin box to him. She thought it was not the narrator, she thought it was Jim. And she said that you told me, you promised me that you would come on the Christmas, and here you are, dear. And this is one of the best, not one of the best Christmas present in the world for Con. For Mrs. Jim MacPherson, this was the best Christmas because she thought Jim MacPherson himself had come there. So the best Christmas present for Mrs. Jim MacPherson, Mrs. Connie Jim MacPherson. And she uh, said, "Come closer, Jim dear, sit down." She asked him to sit down. I sat down beside her. Here, the narrator did not want to hide his identity. He did not tell that he was not Jim MacPherson. Simply he sit down because he doesn't want to. mm, uh, she doesn't want Mrs. MacPherson or Connie would miss that happiness or lose that happiness on her face that she was feeling that day. So simply he sat down. He doesn't want to reveal it that he was not Jim McPherson, because he was very happy to see that Mrs. Connie and Jim McPherson, such an old lady, 101 years old, she becomes happy and very happy. So he doesn't want Mrs. McPherson should lose this happiness. So simply he sat down beside her. She kissed my cheek. So out of love, kissed the cheek of the narrator. I read your letter so often, Jim, every day. And she is explaining that this letter, no, I read it every often, every now and then. Often means every now and then, frequently. I wanted to hear your voice in my head. So after a long time they meet, and she wanted to, because she could not see. Her eyesight was very weak and she could not see Jim McPherson, but she wanted to listen his voice. So she said that I wanted to hear your voice in my head. It always made me feel you were with me, and now you are. This letter always felt me that you were with me, and now you are with me, he says. Now you're back. You can read it to me yourself. Would you do that for me, Jim dear? She said. I just want to hear your voice again. I would love that so much. And then perhaps we will have some tea. I have made you a nice Christmas cake, marzipan all around. So I know how much you love this marzipan. Remember, children, the marzipan was also mentioned earlier in the second part, and marzipan was also the favorite thing uh, that is liked by the German officer Hans Ulf, isn't it? So here, this Jim McPherson also loved this marzipan very much, and she said that she, Mrs. McPherson, that we will have the Christmas cake, we will have some tea also, and this is the end of your lesson. And finally, Mrs. Jim McPherson has got the best Christmas present in the world. Though she had mistaken that it was Jim McPherson. It was not Jim McPherson, it was narrator. It was a different person. But the happiness that she got, that was the wonderful thing. That was the best Christmas present in the world for Connie. And the story ends here. Later, what happens, we need not to think over it, or we could go on thinking also whether he reveals his identity or not, whether he stays with Mrs. Jim McPherson or not, or you can predict. Okay, but our story ends here, and that's the the feature of the literature. It's an open end. So the best Christmas present in the world for Mrs. Jim McPherson, and there is another best Christmas present that is hidden in the story. If we think of the second part, that is in the later, that in the middle of the war, in the middle of the battlefield, when the entire world is fighting with each other, killing with each other, the Christmas day brings the message of peace on the battlefield between the Britishers and German. And this is also the another best Christmas present in the world during the World War First. And we have seen children on the different newspapers, the cuttings of the newspaper. I have shown you that this media has taken this, the notice of this news, and it was spread. This message of peace was spread all over, and after that, the closing of war is being discussed. Was being discussed everywhere in different countries. So, message of peace in the middle of war on the Christmas day is the best Christmas present in the world. Two best Christmas present in the world in this chapter. One is the message of peace in the middle of the war, and the second, the Christmas present, that is the appearance of Jim McPherson in the life of Connie McPherson. Let us go towards the next part. I think we should stop here, children. The next part, the exercise given below, the exercise based on the text that you are going to do. I am not going to explain it because everything is explained well, and I hope that you could do it better. Rather, I will post a PDF file of this question and answer to you so that you could read and understand, if even if you could not answer, so you could read it. And we will discuss working with language. That is very important one uh, in learning language. So in next part we will have the working with language. Till then, thank you very much. Have a nice day.